Welcome, everybody, to the GWP. My name's Jose Sands. I'm here with
Hollywood
Hollywood
Marcus.
Marcus, and we are minus Big Ralph. Big Ralph with the holiday family, so he is not going to be with us this week. And next week, I'm not going to be with you, so it'll be all the Hollywood and Ralph show. So this week, what we usually do is tell you this week in wrestling what was, what could have been, what should have been. I kind of messed that up. What could have been, what should have been, and what was. But this week, because we're getting to the end of the year, we decided, because we are the greatest wrestling podcast, that we tell you what the greatest wrestling matches were of 2007. Now, again, this is all subjective and all opinioned. It could be anywhere from, WWE to Impact to ROH to New Japan to any other little promotion that you might have seen. We've each picked one. We do not overlap each other, so it is different matches. If it's anything that you see or that you have not seen, you can always find these on either the WWE Network, Daily Motion, or some highlights on YouTube. So first, we're going to use Big Ralph. Big Ralph was not here, so we're going to use his pick. His pick was AJ Styles versus Finn Balor at TLC. Now, TLC was an interesting pay-per-view. It was plagued by a lot of sickness, so Bray Wyatt was taken out of the program where we could have seen the greatest Sister Abigail versus the Demon, but instead we got AJ Styles versus Finn Balor.
And it worked all for the better.
And it worked better for them. So we got these two leaders of the Bullet Club facing off for the first time in a last booked match. What did you think, Mark? I'll start with you since I kind of been talking for a while.
I was surprised that they mentioned that they were both leaders of the Bullet Club. They didn't say specifically the Bullet Club, but it says, yeah, two former leaders of that group, and we all know what that group was. But yeah, it was a pleasant surprise. I think me and you both and Ralph were like, we don't know what's going to go on. We don't know who he's going to wrestle. And then when we found out that it was AJ Styles, we were just like, like all of us collectively were just like, yes. So yeah, it was a really good match, and the crowd for this match was super hyped before the bell even rang. Before they even touched, they were chanting, "This is awesome." So you know when they do that, that it's going to be a good match, and the fans really wanted to see it. So I guess it was a blessing in disguise, even though you really don't want to wish ill or sickness on people. I mean, Bray Wyatt getting sick worked out for the best, I think, in the situation.
Yes, if you did not see this match, it was a great surprise. They announced it on social media that AJ Styles from SmackDown was going to come over and fill in the void for where Bray Wyatt was. The match, like you said, was amazing. I mean, it was one of those matches that you wanted to see. I mean, you had these two amazing athletes who are just giving it their all and giving each other every move that they could think of, and the other one taking it, and they just put on a masterpiece, and it was a pleasure and a great, like you said, like a surprise for these two to fight. Now, without the history behind it, knowing that they're from the Bullet Club, I think these two, if they even weren't from there, could have made or did make a great match. I mean, the finish was perfect. It was a clean pin. AJ got pinned. I forgot how the thing went. I think it was a coup de grace, right? That hit
Right,
he hit the coup de
the
grace
coup
at
de
the
grace.
end and got him a pinfall. I think AJ went for the 450, and then AJ went for the 450 on the
And
ropes.
then Balor got his knees up.
And Balor, yeah, hit him with something, a drop kick, and then he hit him with the coup de grace, and that
A
was
corner
it.
drop kick.
And then he was he in full demon, I think, right?
Yeah, he was
He
full
was
paint and
full
everything.
demon, painted and everything. I mean, you
Because it
just
was
got
supposed to be Sister Abigail versus the
yeah.
demon, but
Well,
I
we're
guess
glad
Sister
that
Abigail.
we're all happy that didn't happen. Nobody wanted to see Sister Abigail, and I'm sure Bray didn't want to be dressed up like a
I
girl or
mean, I'm
Sister
pretty
Abigail.
sure pretty sure Sister Abigail got her cycle, so she couldn't wrestle.
Oh, you had to go for the cycle joke. I mean, that was a cheap joke, man.
But it works.
It works for who? Come on. I, so the Demon King versus the Phenomenal One, TLC 2017. That's Ralph. Too bad Ralph's here, not here to put in his 2 cents, but it is his match, so I'm assuming he thought it was great.
He'll probably tell us his thoughts, whether
Yeah.
we want to hear him or not. So
I mean, at the end, even at the end, after AJ lost clean, they
mhm.
both stood up, and it was just a sign of respect, given the too sweet, little right there. And how can a match not finish off with two people respecting each other, and then kind of, what do you call it, referencing
Showing
their
respect.
former life?
But the thing about it, what this match was very good in the fact that it didn't need a story built in for them to have a match. These are just two people who showed up, and it was a competitive match, and it felt more like a sports contest rather than sports entertainment, where you don't have drama, you don't have, oh, I'm watching your title. You just had two of the best in the world going at it to see who was better than each other. And if you watch wrestling these days, there's a lot of hype and a lot of showmanship and a lot of stuff that really doesn't add up to anything, because you look at the wrestler and you think, I can kick this guy's ass. Like, he's whatever. Like,
Right.
but when AJ comes out, you believe that he's really as good as everybody says that he is. Like, that demeanor, his presence, the way he carries himself, he's like, dude, that's a bad guy, man. You don't want to mess with him. And then when Balor comes out, yeah, physically he's smaller than a large portion of the roster, but his confidence, his demeanor, the way that he presents himself as a person, you're like, I don't want to fight this guy. This guy will beat me up, man. So I mean, I think even from the opening, the interests of both competitors, you see them and you think this is going to be a good fight. This is going to be like a outstanding contest. You don't think, oh, well, just let me watch because I don't really have a choice. No, you watched it and you loved it. So yeah, I think the reputation of both men preceded them, and the match, in itself lived up to their reputations.
Right, like you said, it was not a big build up. There was no storyline to it, but it was a reputation of the two, and there is kind of a small built up storyline with the being the former leaders of the Bullet Club finally facing one on one. And I'm sure, like from what it went to now, you got AJ, who's the current WWE champion, Finn Balor, the first Universal champion. He didn't, even though he got the win against what is now the current WWE championship champion. He did not really fare well after this match. He got dropped out a couple of times, and I don't know where he's
Oh
floating
man,
around out there right now.
that's
Um,
because of Vince. Vince doesn't see
well,
the hype. He doesn't understand. I'm like, you don't have to understand. Listen to the crowd. That's all you have to do.
right, and if he didn't understand with that match, then I think he's looking more for a character than he's looking for a wrestler. So maybe that's what the trouble is on that one. So that's the first match: AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, TLC, 2017. Check it out. So match number two. Match number two is my pick. We decided to do me next. Mine is another WWE title match, but for the United Kingdom Championship match. Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate, who was then the champion at NXT Takeover Chicago. Chicago. So they
Not
have,
Brooklyn.
they have a little storyline behind this during the UK tournament. This is where Tyler Bate won, and Pete Dunne lost, and they had a little back and forth. And I believe Pete Dunne even attacked him after he won the title. Um, if I'm not
Did
mistaken, I
he?
might be wrong about that.
No,
No,
he
I don't think
didn't.
so. Not
Because
not that time. No. Um, but Pete Dunne, asserting himself in um, the United Kingdom tournament as just the bruiserweight, hitting people, and taking out people ahead of time, and then losing in the effort. This is the second meeting of the two, which they had a third one recently on NXT, which was equally as good. This one just saw Pete Dunne win the championship against Tyler Bate, who was then, I think he won it at 18 or 19, and at this point he was 20, so it was like almost a year.
19.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
he
he
was
was
20
19.
at this point.
I think he just turned 22.
And the cool thing about this is that NXT takeovers have like those special matches, and they decided that they were going to bring good old JR to come in and commentate on this match. And listening to JR's podcast, you could tell that he was just over or elated to just call this match. And the match, it it didn't disappoint whatsoever. Those two literally beat each other. The what is it? The UK strong style, as they call it.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, the way Pete Dunne manipulates fingers and arms, and he just beats you down. It hurts me watching it, and I'm not even. I think that guy's fingers are broken every time, especially the
It
last
was
one.
legit.
Oh my god! Right? I mean,
Yeah, it was bad. It was real bad. I'm watching it. I'm just like that. I cringed. I jumped out of my bed like I just couldn't. I was like because even after he stomped on him, and then he lifted his hand up, his fingers looked like they were out of place. And I was just like,
I mean, they start everything slow. They start with just wrestling, and they manipulate each other, and they, try to see who's the best. And then when it gets to a point where neither one is getting over the other, they just start brutalizing each other.
they start fighting for
Yeah,
real.
just fighting, and that's why Pete Dunne calls himself the bruiserweight. He's not a heavyweight. He's not a lightweight. He's the bruiserweight. He's just
He
they
beats
went.
people up.
Oh no, they went outside the ring. Bate hit his Xplex on the apron. I think it was right. He hit that
No,
move on the
that
apron.
was done. That did it.
Oh, brute! Yeah, Dunn hit the Xplex on the apron.
I said, I'm not sure. Let to remind you, the hardest part in the ring.
Yeah, as always. Uh, what else? I mean, there's so much. There's so much going on. I mean, even Bate's strength in some of this is just amazing. He can pick people up into almost a suplex position out of nowhere. He's got that Cesaro strength.
Like a
You
mini
know?
Cesaro.
Yeah, it's just like, where's that coming from this little guy?
It's the youth.
It's yeah. I don't know, right? See him in 10 years, see if he can still do stuff like that.
Oh man, you mentioned Jr. though, and listening to his podcast, he went up to both men before the match, like back in catering, and he was like, "Look, guys, I'm gonna call the match, but you need to give me something. You need to give me something to work with. You need to go out there and be hungry. Like, give me a match worthy to call." And they delivered. And I forgot what the marquee match of that pay per view was. I forgot what the title match was.
I think
But
it
I don't
was this Galloway? Sorry, McIntyre coming in and winning. Was that
know.
Chicago?
Was it? Now I have to ask Google. Hold
Yeah,
on.
as a Google machine.
NXT. This is a woman
Chicago.
here.
I think the main event of Chicago was the Gargano Tommaso Ciampa turn.
Was it?
I think so.
NXT Chicago. Here we go. Main event. Authors of Pain versus DIY. Yeah. So you're
Well, that was
you're
good. I picked
coming.
that one up really quick. I didn't even know. I was like, no, it's the turn with Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh wow, you're finally
I
right.
know, like, jeez,
Oh, okay. So
look at that. I'm a freaking savant. I'm a wrestling savant, man.
I mean, yeah, yeah. Meltzer Jr.
Yeah, no,
but
I don't want to.
but I
I don't
mean,
want to be a junior. I want to be the first Sands.
oh, okay. I can go along with that. But okay, so you had a pay per view of Strong versus Young, Dunn versus Bate, Asuka versus Nikki Cross and Ruby Riot, Bobby Roode versus Hideo Itami, and then the tag team title match. And going into this pay per view, you wouldn't really think that Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate would have been the best match of the show and possibly match of the year. But after it was over, you're just looking at your television screen like, how are they going to follow that? Who's going to follow Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate? And it made you want more. It made you be like, okay, I saw what they just did. Now I need to have more of that because that's how high they set the bar. So now I think with that match, every time Pete Dunne came out, because before that match he wasn't as over as he was, and
No,
now
now
every time he
he's
came out, yeah, it's just Bruiser. Wait, he's like they just chant his name, even when his music hits. Before his music hits, they're just all over Pete Dunne. So I think that match put him on the map that night.
absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, I think the last I'm trying to last think of some of the sequences that happen. I mean, Bate I think overturns Dunn's bitter end with like a DDT, and then he
Yeah,
goes and hits a moonsault on the outside, and then a corkscrew or 450 or something like
yeah,
that
like
back
a
on the
Spinal Tap.
inside, and that doesn't finish Dunn. And then Bate goes for something else, another like high diving move, which then he gets like
Whiffed.
planted by like Dunn, and then he hits the bitter end, and that's it. I mean, clean finish, great match. I think they went on for what, 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
15 minutes and 27
Oh,
seconds.
look at that, 15 minutes, 20, and then they always say, well, we only get, you always hear people say, well, you only got, you know, 10 minutes, or I got 15 minutes. What can we do with it? I'll tell you, watch these guys. I'll tell you what you could do with 15 minutes.
Yeah, the pacing is perfect. They paced that match out awesome. They started off, like you said, the grappling, the who's better technically, and then once they started to break down into a fight, it was just like, oh wow, they
Now,
just went at it.
and they had three times. They did this three times, and this, in my opinion, was the best out of the three. The one they just had on NXT. The first one, I think they're just trying to get everybody to know who they are, so they're not as brutal as I think they could have been. And I
Mhm.
think this one is probably the top out of the three. And then the last one that we just saw in NXT was the second one. And the original, the first meeting was the first one for me. And if we're going to go in order, and how come we're not talking about these three having a? I mean, we talk about the Flair and Steamboats. Why aren't we talking about Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate having a uh, rivalry like they're having with their like best of three? Huh?
We explained this last podcast. That isn't posted yet, but it will be soon.
Yes.
So people haven't heard it yet. But I mean,
Calling somebody out, are
I didn't call nobody out, but from what I explained last podcast, since this is on the network and it's not as readily available as like TNT, TBS, all the old wrestling shows were back in the day.
we? Right.
People don't know about it. So I mean, if you look back, say 10 years from now, then yeah, it'll have historical importance, I think. But I think for the modern age where people don't know that these matches even exist, they're kind of like whatever.
Right, but to your point on that, most people don't know New Japan stuff exists, and yet when Meltzer said that these matches get six, everybody heard it. So if Meltzer would have talked about these matches, then I'm sure we would have heard probably, hey, these matches got to be watched. Actually, I don't even know what he rated these or this match.
I don't know either. I didn't look it up.
No, I didn't look it up, but I mean, again, that's always one person's opinion. It's not necessarily the liking to all. But since you're listening to us, we're telling you that this is a good match.
You need to watch it.
You should watch it, if for anything, just to see different people than the norm wrestlers that you see every day on the WWE and SmackDown and Raw. You need to see these guys. These guys are putting in the work. They're young. They're going to be doing it for a long time, and even outside the WWE, I'm sure they're going to draw big and be big because I know Pete Dunne was doing very well on the Indies prior to coming to WWE. He held
It
a
was
few
the world
titles.
champion,
Yeah, he had a couple of titles and a couple of
uh,
different promotions.
the Progress World title,
Yeah,
and I think the
Evolve. No,
Destiny World title.
Destiny World Title. So I mean, and now he has the UK United Kingdom Championship. So
I just looked it up. It
somebody to
was
watch.
4.75 stars.
4.75. I believe that should have been at least a 5-star, but hey, that's my opinion. And
I know
again,
he has Triple H's backing too, so he's
who
using
has?
the
Oh,
pedigree.
Pete Dunne has Triple
Yeah,
H's backing.
yeah, he's using the pedigree on the Indies as a finisher.
Really? I like the bitter end. I like that. I guess you can't hit that on everybody, so it's kind of hard, you know. I mean, he can hit
Yeah,
on a Tyler Bate, but if he has to go against somebody a little bit heavier and bigger, it's going to be
like
kind of hard,
Killian Dane,
huh?
like Killian
Yeah,
Dane, we're
like
talking
Killian
about.
Dane, he couldn't hit that on him, but
Who did I read about that was going after the title? I forget who the number one contender was, but it's not somebody from the UK. I have to
for
research it. I have to
the
research it.
really, you know,
Yeah,
if they ever get Neville back, I think he should go for the UK stuff.
that would be those, but one of them will have to turn face.
Well, I mean, Neville technically never really turned. His character's still the same. Same with Dunn. Dunn's character is not a nice character. It's just the crowd cheers for him.
That's true. People love Pete
Yeah.
Dunne.
So I mean, if you're gonna go, I mean, bruiserweight Pete Dunne, he's pretty much the heel. You could kind of get away with Neville keeping his character and
The
um,
King.
being the king and being face because he could keep the character and say, you know, I'm here because of the amazing people who work here, like he did with 205. You
Mm.
know, maybe that would be the best way to do it. I don't know. I think
I have,
Neville coming into and doing UK Championship against Pete Dunne would be a good match as well.
I have a question for you, sir.
Go for it, sir.
What makes this match stand out from stuff on the main roster?
You know what? I think it's the time they take to, like I said, when you're watching it, you're watching these guys literally beat each other up. I mean, the manipulation of the fingers, the arms, the legs, you know, the grappling at the beginning, the slow methodical pace, and then when it's not working, them going and saying, you know what, I got to do something even more brutal, and then when that doesn't work, I got to go even more brutal. I think the build that they had is what does it. And you can't. The problem with WWE or the main roster stuff is that they have to fill a certain time. Like you can't take the time like these guys do. I think WWE now is giving people some time. Different matches get time. Like
Mhm.
this past week, I saw Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns go at it, and it took time. They took time. Same with the tag team championship match. It had time, you know, it had maybe 10, 15 minutes just like these guys did, and they were able to build a story around it, which
What, what
it
what's the match recently that went overtime? It was an NXT. I don't remember if it was the UK or the tag title match, but it went past 9 o'clock.
you know what, I don't know.
I want to say it was the tag match when what are they
Was it
called?
Undisputed Era?
Yeah, Undisputed Era. I'm so bad at remembering names. When Undisputed Era won the titles, I think they went like 10 or 15 minutes over.
But it took time, you know what I mean? And I think
Hmm.
that on the network they can get away with going 10 to 15 minutes over. When you're on you know, cable channel like USA, you have to condense it. You have to
Yeah,
stick to that format. You can't go over unless you tell them you're going to go over. And I think they've back when the Attitude Era happened, I think they went over maybe 5-10 minutes every once in a while. But I'm sure they had to let the people know that they were going over.
do they still do it on Raw? Well, you don't
Some
watch Raw live.
I don't watch it live.
Yeah, I do. They go over like 10 or 15 minutes every Monday.
Oh, okay. So they're still doing what they used to do then.
Yeah, I mean it sucks, but they still do it.
Right, but I mean, I don't know. Like getting into this past week, I mean, the Samoa Joe Roman Reigns match was good. The tag team matches were good, you know, and they gave him time. And so I think that when you're doing a weekly episodic show, you have to kind of not give everybody everything because you want them to go to the pay-per-views or the pay-per-view matches, the big ones, and you want them to see something different. Like it always bugs me that they always have Braun Strowman doing something incredible on a Raw, where if you did it in a pay-per-view, it would be special, you know,
You know why they do that though?
shock value because
No clue.
NFL's on.
Oh, to make you buy the pay per view. Because if he does something awesome on TV to make you go, oh, hey, I want to buy this pay per view. Once you got the pay per view, they already have your money, so why do they care?
Yeah, but it's the same. Well, then why don't you do that with Shane McMahon? You go into a pay per view looking at Shane McMahon saying, hey, he's going to jump off something.
Pretty much.
You know, whether he goes coast to mid coast,
Because he
yeah,
can't
but
go
it
coast to
doesn't
coast
go
anymore.
coast anymore. He goes midway. So even if he does that, it's a spectacle, right? But you don't show it every week.
So people want to see him literally destroy himself.
Pretty much
It's pretty bad, man.
because you know
Pretty.
it's coming and you want to see it.
The train wreck is coming. Yeah,
The
you
tr-
know when you see a Shane match, you know he's going to do something to like
even if Shane's
wreck
involved, like
himself.
the past pay per view where you had the tag team match. Come on,
Mhm.
that was when Shane's involved, the match itself, the wrestling was kind of but the drama behind it was what sold me on it. It wasn't the best match, but if you go
And
by the dual referees, Shane and Daniel Bryan and all of that, that's what made the match more than the actual wrestling, and Shane was involved in that.
but see, that's where I think the issue is because spoiler, nothing from the WWE main roster made this podcast. Why? Because I think it's overproduced, over dramatized.
Wait, you can't say that. Did you just
I
say
can't,
AJ Finn Balor?
no,
That's the main roster.
yeah, but Ross Pitt doesn't count. So
Why? Because he's not here.
yeah,
It's
so
still his pick.
okay, so one match out of all the matches they had, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, yeah, but think about it. That still goes to my point because that match wasn't over dramatized. It wasn't overproduced. It was two of the best wrestlers in the world wrestling to see who was better, right?
Right.
Now you take the developments with Shane, and it's not even really wrestling. It's just like a super stunt fest to see how he can jump off a cage or what he could do crazy to wreck himself. Even the last pay per view, like that match sucked, but Shane was in it, and it was drama, and it led to more drama. So people watched it. It was like, oh, hey, this is entertaining. When really it wasn't. Now, if they had a serious wrestling, I think it would have worked better in a serious wrestling match between Owens Zayn and Orton Nakamura to say like, no, we're really gonna bury these guys. We're gonna make sure they don't get uh resigned or we're gonna make sure they get fired. It's like if you present it that way, like a legitimate sporting contest where like everything is on the line for the two guys rather than some cheap ref interference, I think it would have meant a lot more.
But there was drama behind it. That was the whole point. Everything was stacked against them. It was two guys, Orton and Shinsuke. They're going to go with Shane as the referee, right?
Hmm.
So there was drama. You're building it up. The adding of Daniel Bryan was a little bit ridiculous in my end, but it also through that storyline. WWE has to get you to want to watch the next week. And if you don't have anything intriguing and just people going out there and wrestling, it gets boring for not the main wrestling fans, but the people who are casual wrestling fans who only watch the WWE.
Oh, those people suck.
Okay, but they're people and they have to be
they're
heard.
probably they're probably listening to this. Who like, he's just said we suck.
Yeah, right? But I mean, it's just a
I don't know,
casual
man.
wrestling fan who only watches WWE. I mean, come on, the Attitude Era stories that everybody praises about were ridiculous.
Yeah,
If
but they
you
backed it up in
really
the
look
ring.
at them, they were ridiculous. You
Yeah,
got the
but they
Brood coming up, the vampires in one end, you got the Ministry of Darkness on another end. Come on. The
yeah,
only
but they
through line that they had that was what people connected to the most was the working class man beating the rich billionaire boss.
yeah, but think about it though, man. Like even with all that ridiculousness, they still showed up in the ring. I,
I
I don't think they do it as much as they used to anymore. I think
I
now they're
I
baking
think
up the point.
there's a lot of concern and there's a lot of caution now because of I mean those guys from that era are banged up pretty damn good.
Yeah,
Most of them are not even wrestling anymore because they have injuries they can't come back from.
I was going to say something. Never mind.
Right?
Oh,
We got
I mean,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Who's left? You got Triple H who
Jericho,
comes in every once in a while. Michaels is retired. Undertaker's got a hip
he,
transplant.
he
I mean,
needs
what
to
does that tell
retire.
you? Edge is out because of neck injury. Angle should be out because of neck injury.
He should stop too. He looks bad.
He looks
I think
stiff. Hell,
I think the only
even
person.
the only time I have to say Matt Hardy looked a little stiff and looked like he wasn't walking this week. He no, he looked bad. You ever see him walking? He's got like weird bowed legs, like he's always in pain trying to run down the thing. This week though, when he went after Bray, it was like he was rejuvenated. He
That's
ran
the
in there.
magic.
I'm telling you.
That's the
I'm
magic that he has.
thinking. Sometimes I think he's just playing and messing with people just to keep up appearances. But he got in there. Well, whatever. I mean,
I,
you
you know
need
what,
longevity.
man?
You want if we're entertained by your superstars, you want longevity. You can't have them doing once in a while. You do crazy stuff, but you can't do it every week on a weekly. And plus, what do they work 6 days a week, maybe 5 6
No,
days a week.
4. I think they work 4 or 3 off.
Well, if they have a pay-per-view,
Oh, I'm gonna say it like this, man.
say it
If
like this.
If Terry Funk can still wrestle, then these guys have no excuse.
Yeah, but how much do you think Terry Funk is really moving around in the ring at freaking 60, 70, whatever the heck age he is?
Terry
He,
Funk is crazy, man.
he's crazy, but I mean, his knees are probably shot. He probably can't do much. And you're going there for nostalgia because everybody wants to see Terry Funk be crazy. So
Dude,
it's his character that you're really going to see, and it's not his technical prowess.
Jerry Lawler still wrestles, and he had a heart attack.
Yeah, but you're going for the. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't do as much as he used to.
I don't know, man. I know.
And what
Cody
he
Rhodes.
does is not going to be ridiculously crazy.
Well, he never was ridiculously crazy at the
Right. He
beginning.
came. His moves were pile driver and a fist drop off middle rope, or right. But those were his finishing moves: pile driver and a fist drop.
Oh man, yeah. I guess you're right, man. I can't dispute it.
You could dispute it. You just be wrong.
Yeah, this time I would be. I admit it.
All right, so that Big Ralph's match was the Finn Balor AJ Styles at TLC. My match was Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Takeover Chicago. The last person is Hollywood. Your match was
I don't even think I want to say my match now
why?
because, man, you might like destroy me for saying it because it's not WWE main roster.
I have nothing against going against anything else. I enjoy other programs. I am just pointing out that you want it to be a certain way. You can't have that level of
They
they're
need
already
to.
putting their bodies through so much. You can't have that level every week on a WWE programming.
After I name the match, I'm gonna name as the greatest match of this year.
Hmm.
They need to step it up, man. They have to.
Okay, what's the match?
My match of the year is Kenny Omega versus Okada 2 from Dominion of this year. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
New
No
Japan?
WWE.
No
Yeah.
WWE?
None of that WWE soft style stuff.
Oh, God. All right, so besides being 6-star Meltzer rated, what else you got? Why? Why?
All right. So
Explain yourself on why this is the greatest match. Which I'm going to go on record to say the reason why we did the way we did our matches was because we all believed that this was the best match of the year. So I was there with you.
all right. So they had the first match at Wrestle Kingdom in January.
Hmm.
And people were expecting big things out of Kenny Omega because let's face it, he's had, I think, one of the best years in wrestling this year. And after the match was done and over with, even though he lost the first match, everybody had eyes on New Japan. They were like, what the hell did we just see? Meltzer said it was the greatest match of all time, which I have to disagree with because I still think it's Steamboat versus Flair. But, I digress. So the hype for match number 2 started. We didn't know when match number 2 was going to be. We didn't know how it was going to come about, but we knew it was going to happen. Happened a little bit sooner than I would have liked.
I think that Kenny and Okada would have liked too.
Yeah, Kenny even said it. He was like, I don't think it should be this close to the last one, but I mean, hey, when they book it, you got to do it, right?
Right.
So I mean, if you've watched this match, the build for it, like when the wrestlers came out, kind of like with AJ and Balor, just intensified. Like Kenny looks like a star. He looks like somebody that needs to be taken seriously. He has his entourage behind him, and the Young Bucks, when Okada came out with the world title, and his person behind him, dude, like you watch these people and they look larger than life. They look like people who need to be in the ring. People who, when they fight, it looks legitimate. Like you think they're legitimate badasses, right?
Right.
So I mean, they get in the ring. They have the introductions, old school introductions with, both people in one corner, the Japanese announcer announcing them, and they went at it for an entire hour, like literally nonstop, back and forth, back and forth. The pacing was good. It wasn't anything too crazy. The filling out process, the holds, the counters. Let's see who has the most technical prowess, and then Kenny Omega went on offense, and when he lays his stuff in, man, he really lays it in. He's a smaller guy compared to Okada. Okada's 6'4". Kenny Omega's like, what, 5'10", 5'11", but I mean, dude, they lay their stuff in hard. Like, you heard it. And the thing I like about the match is that they did basic stuff. It wasn't anything over the top. It wasn't too flashy. All the basic stuff that they did made the flashy stuff mean that much more. Like Kenny worked on Okada's leg, and when Okada sells, he sells like nobody else right now in the business, which is, and I think this match was part of the reason why he was ranked number 1 this year in PWI 500. It's the first Japanese wrestler to ever be ranked number 1.
Right.
But, I mean, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, the Bullet Club was out there. What is his name? Gato was out there, but they didn't interfere. They're there, but you don't see them actively interfering. And the story was that if Kenny can hit his one-winged angel, he'll beat Okada because he never hits it. And they said if he hits it, he got him, right?
Right.
So he hits it, 1, 2, Okada gets his leg on a rope, and everybody's like, oh my God. Like, you thought in that moment that Kenny was going to win it. And the thing I like about it is that when I make my picks for WWE matches, I'm pretty much always right. Like, I know who's going to win. I know why they're going to win. I know who's going to lose. I know why they're going to lose. With this match, I didn't know who's going to win. I thought Kenny, because of the role that he was on, would win at the G1.
Right.
Or Wrestle Kingdom. He didn't. So I'm thinking, all right, they have to give it to him now. They still did it. And I'm like, dude, like you watch it, you don't know what's going to happen, which is why I like the New Japan product, because every wrestler that comes out looks legitimate. They look like they really can kick your ass. So you don't know who's going to win a match when they fight each other. And this was like no different. And I mean, the crowd, I wrote down my notes, the crowd for this match, I think, added to the match itself, because if you watch WWE, and NXT is notorious for this, which is one criticism I have of it, is that they have these chants, but I don't think the chants add to the match. I think they detract from the match, because some of the chants are just like ridiculous, like, silly. But in New Japan, like, the crowd sees it as a legitimate sport. They see it as real. So their interaction with it is like, oh wow, did you see what he just did? That was like he's knocked out for, like, they think that is real. they know it's not real, but they treat it like it is, right?
Right.
And I mean, the crowd was into it. No chance. If you listen to the commentary, there's no Twitter plugs. There's nothing else. Everybody is focused on the match, and it's like kind of like old school feel because if you watch NWA 80s WWE, they have like the metal guardrails that you can move, bend, and it looks like a legit going to the crowd. They had that. They had the photographers at ringside taking pictures, like scurrying out of the way. It reminded me of, I want to say, Steamboat versus Savage, Hogan versus Savage, Steamboat versus Flair. Like it reminded me of those old school matches where you don't know who's gonna win, but they just go at it, and the best man wins. In this case, it was a draw because they went the time limit. But I mean, dude, if you watch this match, you will understand exactly what I mean when I give it such high praise.
No, I agree with you. It had that big fight feel, especially after hearing the first one and watching the first one. You wanted to see if Kenny Omega could hit the one winged angel, and then I think he hits it at one point, and then you, like you said, he his foot's on the ropes. Do you think it should have gone the time limit, or do you think this is the one that Omega should have won? Because we all know, if spoilers for anybody, they had a third one, and the third match happened at G1, right?
Yeah, it was part of the G1
It was
tournament.
part of the G1 tournament, which Omega won, but it wasn't for the title. Do you think that this should have been the one where Omega wins, and then the third one be the time limit draw?
Looking looking back in hindsight, I think they made the right decision because now Kenny is the U.S. champion, and he has a title to run with. It's kind of like a secondary title, kind of like a test almost. Like, let's see what he can do with this before we give him the world title. And then you have Okada, who's getting into a program with Naito, who's also really, really good. Naito beat him before for the title. So, I mean, I think they made the right decision not giving it to Kenny because I think Kenny has established himself as somebody who doesn't really need a title. He speaks like his work, his promos, which if you haven't heard his promos, you need to listen to his promos. He cuts one of the best promos in the business today. I think he himself is somebody like a Piper. They don't need a title to succeed. He has one now, but he doesn't need one. So I think the title helps Okada. I think the title would have helped Kenny, but not as much as it does for Okada right now. And I think eventually Kenny will get it, but when the time is right. Kind of like the ODCW when RVD was the TV champ,
Right.
and he was considered the guy. Like he closed out pay-per-views. He was the main event. Wasn't the world champ. Was a TV champ, but he still had top status. So I think right now in New Japan, if you look at the top guys, it's going to be Okada and Omega. And I think they're equal, regardless of which title they hold.
What do you think about Naito, though? Don't you think he is up there? I mean, from what I understand, again, I did not see these matches, but I hear Naito Okada is a very good match too. It's kind of up there with the Okada Omega matches.
Yeah, Naito's awesome. Naito actually beat Kenny for the title chance at Wrestle Kingdom this year, and that match was awesome. So Naito is really, really good. He's a former champion. He beat Okada for it before, and he's awesome, man. But I still think that Kenny's stock is a lot higher than Naito's.
Really?
Yeah, I think if I have to go and rank everybody right now from all federations, I would have to say it would be Kenny just because of what he's done to build up New Japan over the past year and the eyes that he's shown on it and the recognition, because you have to realize Okada's good, but he can't speak English. Kenny, he speaks English and Japanese, so he could be that ambassador to be like, hey, watch our product. I think if Okada spoke fluent English, it would be different, but I mean, Got to put Kenny 1. Got to put Okada at 2. And I got to put AJ at 3, man.
All right, I got that. But okay, I know you want to put Omega at the top, but Okada has been slowly building for years in New Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and without Okada putting on just before Omega even got into the picture, putting on great matches, right? He already
Mm-hmm.
had a name, and like you said, Omega came in really to establish himself in that company to see what he can do, and they put on a masterpiece, and then they did it
Mm-hmm.
again, and then they did it a third time. So they know that Omega is and Okada is money, and they know Omega's great because now with the introduction of Jericho
That's
coming at the
awesome, too.
new Wrestle Kingdom, you've got already hype around that Wrestle Kingdom where people are going crazy. If you didn't have Okada, you wouldn't have Omega, right? Pretty much.
Is that necessarily true, though? Because I think.
Okada in New Japan, Okada was already established
Mm,
as a very dominant champion. He's held that title for what, at least 8 months now.
I think he's third overall. Let me check and see.
I know he's held the title for a very long time. I think I want to say maybe it's over a year or so, but I might be
Yeah,
wrong on that.
it's been over a year. I'm pretty
You
sure it's been
know,
over.
so he's established himself as a dominant champion, and he's gone against some of the best. NATO, what was the other guy I saw? But he's gone out. He's gone against a number of people. So he's established that company as their champion, and he's brought that company to where it is. Adding Omega into that mix and having the match that they did just
Mhm.
elevated both of them. Not just him, not just Omega, but Okada too. We wouldn't know their names without the other. How can
It's
you
been it's been
justify
500,
putting,
557 days.
huh,
557 days.
for Okada?
Yeah.
So well over a year, going on two, almost two.
Yeah.
How could you say Omega first over Okada? He
This
All
is
right.
okay.
I heard Omega. I heard of Omega before this.
Hmm.
I've heard of Okada before this only because he was the champion. He's the one that built that company to where it is now. Omega coming in, we all heard he was good, but we didn't see until these matches that came up how great he was. Like you see greatness in him, but you don't see the amazement that we just saw in these two matches or three matches if you want to count the G1.
Oh, interesting fact.
Mm-hmm.
By the time Wrestle Kingdom comes around, Okada's going to be all time as the longest reigning IWGP champion.
Oh wow.
Right. Right now, Tanahashi at a total combined days is 1,358, and as of today, Okada has 1,353.
Oh wow. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sorry. Continue.
Lost my train of thought. Well, anyways, you put Omega first. I kind of believe, I do believe the first two should be Okada Omega, but I really think Okada should be first before Omega.
I think I understand your point, and the reason why I put Kenny above Omega because I think Kenny above Omega. Why I put Kenny above Okada?
You caught yourself on that one. I didn't even hear it.
Yeah, I caught myself. Is because even without Kenny and Okada still putting on the matches that he's been putting on, I don't think people will realize he was having those matches without Kenny getting the mainstream viewers to watch it.
But did they get the mainstream viewers, or was it the fact that Meltzer gave it a 6 that gave this?
I think
I think it
Kenny.
was a combination of the two, probably.
Well, I mean, if you listen to JR's podcast, he spoke highly of Omega before the G1. Like he was like, you need to watch that Omega. You need to see this Omega. Like you need to watch this guy's promos. But on the other hand, he was speaking about Okada too. He spoke very highly of Okada. He spoke very highly of Tanahashi, and he spoke very highly of Kenny Omega.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, to your point, yeah, Okada already had a name, but I think Kenny Omega took that and raised it even further. I think Kenny was the catalyst in all of this, just because you can't in America, if you're a wrestling fan, yeah, you're a wrestling fan, you like the moves, but you're also audioly stimulated, right?
Right.
You can listen to an Okada interview with subtitles, but it's not going to have the same impact as listening to Kenny Omega promote the match, build the match, cut a promo because it's in English. So I think, as me, as somebody who speaks English as their primary and first language, it's Kenny Omega just because of how it's presented, right? But if you want to get down to it, you can interchange Kenny and Okada as one or two, or have them both one and have AJ be two, or like one and one A and then two.
Well, look, I think the Wrestling Kingdom matches didn't get any hype anyway before I heard about more of Wrestle Kingdom when AJ was there. And AJ Okada, right?
AJ Nakamura.
AJ Nakamura, I think AJ fought Okada too, no?
AJ fought Tanahashi.
Tanahashi. That's where
Yeah,
you heard, that's where I heard of Wrestle Kingdom because of the matches AJ was putting on over there.
yeah,
Those
because
matches.
okay,
So we all have to blame AJ for this. Is where I'm going. So he should be number one, and then the other ones because you would never heard of New Japan. Well, that's not true. I mean,
you would know about it,
you
but
knew
not to the.
we all knew New Japan. I mean, let's if you're a wrestling fan, you know of New Japan. To say that you watched every New Japan or New Japan matches, you probably could safely say that you probably didn't look at it even though you knew about it. You probably saw who won, but you weren't invested too much as it. I think with the Young Bucks and AJ and Balor and the clubs, the Bullet Club and all that, I think that brought interest to New Japan. So this just elevated it a little bit more. But I just don't.
Check this out though. This is a telltale of why I think New Japan works. Okay, Brock is kind of doing it now, but okay, you have Tanahashi, 404 days as champion. Okada took it from him, 125 days. Tanahashi got it back, 295 days. Okada got it back again, 391 days.
You're saying
AJ,
longevity is what you're pretty
yeah,
much saying.
yeah. So it went Tanahashi Okada, Styles, Tanahashi, Styles, Okada, Naito, Okada. And each one of these title reigns, the shortest was 121 days, and the longest is 557 plus right now with Okada. So, I mean, that's from 2011 to 2016. So, I mean, long title reigns that mean something, matches that count. Now in WWE, it's kind of like you see Lesnar, it's like, oh, he wins automatically just because he's Lesnar. That's why I think people like AJ, because yeah, he's the man, but you still think that he can be beat. But you're expecting him to beat the other person. So that's why I think put New Japan above WWE, just the believability in what you're watching.
I can see that. I can understand that. But then again, it's different audiences in the end. It's all different audiences. WWE is catering to this type of audience, and New Japan is catering to another type of audience.
True. Because New Japan people actually believe it. They don't. I mean, I don't. Of course, they don't believe in the sport. With WWE, like Vince says, he promotes sports entertainment, not wrestling. So yeah, different audiences.
Okay, so though that was our matches, what we consider the three greatest matches of 2017. So your first one was Finn Balor versus AJ Styles at TLC, Pete Dunne versus the champion Tyler Bate at Takeover Chicago, and the IWGP champion. I'm never going to say his first name right. Okada.
Kazuchika Okada.
Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega. This is the second one on Dominion. These matches were we consider the greatest matches of 2017. If you have any opinions or you'd like to let us know what you thought a great match was, please follow us on our Twitter, our Facebook page, and do we have Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram? I don't think
Yeah.
Instagram you can leave notes. I guess you can DM us. We are the Unique Geek
Did
Network,
you
or
say
we're under the
YouTube?
Unique. No, because you're not. Well, I guess you could write comments after this is out on YouTube.
Yeah.
One thing before we
Podbean.
start signing ourselves off here, because I just wanted an opinion. What did you think about Gargano winning?
I didn't see it yet.
Did I just
I,
spoil it for you, dude? I
no,
apologize.
no,
I'm
I
so
knew. I
sorry.
knew. No,
Oh,
I
you
saw it
knew?
on. I saw it on the ticket that he
I
won.
did not see Gargano winning.
No, I knew he won. I just hasn't seen it. I was raiding yesterday. For you guys who don't know, I am in a guild in Warcraft, and we raid every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and we murder. Well, let me be gentle with that
Figuratively
speech.
murder,
Yeah, we
digitally
wreck.
murder, not actual murder. Murder.
Yeah, we wreck bosses. I did some really high parses yesterday that I'm proud of, like top 1% in the world. So, yeah, man, check us out.
Well, then maybe we'll leave this for another time. But Gargano wins the four-way and is going to face Almas. I thought that was interesting.
I think he beats Almas.
You think so?
I think he beats him. I
I
think
don't
he
know. I
beats him.
just, I
Ciampa comes
just,
back and jumps
I,
him.
I really thought Aleister Black was going to go over, and he got pinned.
What? They
Gargano
he,
pinned him.
oh, I forgot he was in the match.
Yeah,
He's not under. Oh, what are you doing, Triple
I
H? What are
believe.
you doing?
Yeah, shit. Now you're second guessing me. Like I'm second guessing
Oh
myself,
shit!
but I believe Gargano got. I believe
Um,
Black got pinned. If I remember right, I saw it yesterday.
I didn't watch it. Oh
Hold on, I
man,
gotta look it up now because now I'm doubting myself.
I'm on Google. I'm on Google right now.
Results. Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Sorry for the delay,
Yeah, yeah,
podcast
yeah,
audience,
yeah.
but
Let's
okay.
see.
Final segment: Black
Yeah,
Mass on Sullivan.
because just Gargano leapt to Black's aid. Yeah, because the other two beat each other outside the ring.
He
Better
did.
savored a moment and realized he
Oh,
sunk in. DDT pinned him. Black's undefeated streak caused NXT Universal Johnny Wrestling. Yep, he pinned him.
what the hell?
Tackling Cole with a suicide
Oh,
dive, he spun Dane Sullivan, smashing into the steel steps, effectively taking out both hosses before
wow.
returning focus onto Black. Gargano spiked Black with a slingshot DDT and pinned him, ending Black's undefeated streak and causing NXT Universe to erupt in chants of
Oh.
Johnny Wrestling.
So they're oh my they better give Johnny the title
What? Because they took Black's thing. It
because
was a
he
good match. It was a good
that's why I was
match.
remember I was talking I was scared of Black versus Cole because I thought I love Adam Cole but I thought they were gonna give it to Cole and end his streak there but man
No, Gargano got the pin.
to
But
end it
it
in
was a lot of. I
well
mean, there was a lot of things. I mean, Adam Cole comes out. The other two are beating each other up outside the ring. I think they went through table. I mean, it was a pretty good match. I just did not see Gargano winning it. I really assumed Black was going to win it.
I need to see this match now
Well, I'm glad I brought that to your attention.
because I knew he won but I didn't
How did? Oh,
think
because this was taped and she saw it ahead of time. I try not to look at all the results of the tape stuff because I like to watch NXT.
no I didn't even know by when I got home I was looking just in case anything popped up, and it says Gargano goes on to face Cien Almas. But I was like, all right, but I forgot that Black was in the match.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow, okay, so Gargano wins the title, and I think Ciampa comes back, jumps him, or after he wins the title, he gets jumped by Undisputed, and they give it to Cole, and they put Johnny Gargano on 205 Live. I'm calling it now.
Okay. I think Ralph called it earlier that Gargano was going to win the four way.
Did he?
I think so. I gotta listen back.
Maybe I give him a point then.
Oh man, I don't want to. We'll start the point system in January because I don't want to start with the points I have. Well, thank you again for listening to us. We are the GWP podcast, we're part of the Unique Geek Network, or you Geekly, which is UGEEKLY. You also can find us, as we said before, on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube under You Geekly. We also have a Twitch, which Mr. Hollywood will be streaming this week. You said you're rating, I believe. World of Warcraft rating,
Friday, Friday,
and
yeah.
maybe what is it? The other thing, the
Oh, Zelda?
Zelda.
No, that's going to start the new year.
That's to start the new year. Okay, so you can check that out. We also got Bewitch's Little Corner. If you're into other tutorials, including gaming moments that can make you laugh, with a little bit of nostalgia, you could do an old school RP with the Mirrored Soul on our website, which is ugeekly.com. We also have Sci-Fi Saturdays with Keith Wade, which is also a podcast that you could see. It's the first Saturday of every month. I haven't gotten the latest one, or I believe the latest one has been up. But you can all catch us on there. My name is Jose Sands. I'm here with
Hollywood Marcus.
Hollywood Marcus, and we're saying goodbye, so long, and
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Great out cue there, Marcus.
Oh man.